station on Goals TV with various MLS fans and abroad. So, what is one of your fond memories or discussions that you've had with? You pretty much have almost all the teams that comes in your platform. So, is there one that comes to mind as of like, this is what it's all about?
Man, I would say that those 3 seconds. So we have a lot of different content on Goals TV.
Yes.
In my opinion, I mean, we really try our hardest to embody it all the way through. But I think those 3, there's like 3 of the 5 different types of series or segments that we have on Goals TV, which would be Unleashed with Eric Wynalda, Wake Up MLS, and the United Soccer Lounge. I think those 3 really, really embody who we are at the end of the day in a number of ways, right? But I think if I had to summarize it quickly, Eric's show does the best job really of kind of just breaking down barriers. I feel like there's so many issues politically behind the scenes with American soccer, and Eric and all his time, all of his experience, all of his wisdom is sharing his raw opinions in a way that I think is getting people's attention and allowing them to hopefully form opinions for themselves. So I don't think there's many shows on the internet in this space that do that. And to me, working with Eric on that front has been amazing. So that's all kind of one sort of blur of a fond memory all wrapped up into one by itself. But I will say Wake Up MLS because I feature on that show regularly. It's got a soft spot in my heart, man. United Soccer Lounge is great. Don't get me wrong. Riley James is the host there. It's absolutely crushing it. It embodies Goals TV all the way through, doing interviews with players, staff, creators, anybody on the USL front to really tell stories in a way that brings more people in. That's what we're all about. Musa, you've been on Wake Up MLS before several times. We've had other creators all around the league. And it's been so much fun, man. Meeting these people in person more than a few times as well, but creating content with them, getting a chance to know them to a point where we have this camaraderie on the show. Everybody's comfortable, having a good time. We try to make it fun intentionally, but at the same time, I feel like we have a great mix of personalities. And, it's not the biggest MLS show out there by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't really care. It's so much fun to make and so much fun to collaborate with you guys that I don't mind ever taking aside time any given day, week to record something for that show. It's always a good time. So yeah, man, that's how I see our channel.
Yeah. And I would say Wake Up MLS has kind of helped me as well. Bringing other content creators from other teams. I think that kind of helped break the silo of all the conversations that we have when we're stuck in our teams. So that I think for me, that's how this sport's supposed to be, where, when both our teams are playing, you just like the message why I sent you, right? We're rivals, now we're not friends. But then the 90 minutes calls it, we're back to it. So,
We're back.
So I think that's the fun part of having in MLS, Wake Up MLS. And I think, Riley, the thing that I kind of like on his show is that there is that section to where USL is getting, the highlight that they deserve with those conversations. It's not, it's not us versus someone else. It's all showing what each of those teams have. And he's traveling now, which I think that was kind of the fun part. Now you see the people in their natural habitat and they're more relaxed. So I think the last few that I saw him traveling, it shows you more of the accessibility of not only the players, but also the staff and the ownership. So looks like you're hitting all of the main points when it comes to soccer. From now, you're reaching out to kids, parents, and then you're going to MLS, you're going to USL, and you pretty much went to US soccer with Eric. So every levels, I can appreciate that. So I think Goals TV is the place to be. I might be biased, but
we appreciate that, man. Yes. Sincerely. It means a lot. It means a lot.
So, and then we're bringing it back to the one where we all talk about, which you mentioned, Wake Up MLS, which you also have a fandom of Dallas football clubs. So tell us a little bit more about that, even though you kind of play in their academy, so that kind of embodied you to that team. But
sure,
tell us, Dallas FC, Jose, how does that work?
Yeah, man. I mentioned before, like early on in the episode around, my dad kind of just finding things for me upon moving to Texas, and that's really how I got introduced to MLS as well. So going to watch the Mavs at that time, the Cowboys at that time. I mean, dude, we just didn't have money, so the easiest thing to really go watch and enjoy with your kids, especially now that they've started getting into soccer a little bit, is Dallas Burn. They were playing at the Cotton Bowl. We lived about 20-ish minutes away from downtown Dallas, where the Cotton Bowl is located. So tickets were super cheap, and we went to go watch, man, as much as we could. I probably best attendance was probably in the 98, 99 season, one of those two, where I probably had close to double-digit games attended. And it was no complaints, man. The team was pretty good, not the greatest, but I love the fact that like I got to cheer for a team that had the likes of Jason Kreis, Ariel Graziani, Oscar Pareja, who coaches for Orlando now. It felt like it was early for something that could be pretty cool. And as a kid who had just picked up soccer, this was like what I had to watch, right? Like I couldn't watch games overseas just yet. So like this is what I had in terms of professional football or soccer in my backyard to use as the example. This is where I want to be one day. Great. I'm gonna do everything I can in my little rec league, right? To just start working my way up, getting better, and you never know. So that was really it. It took my dad bringing me to those games to really just fall in love with being a Dallas Burn fan. And bro, I loved it. I love the Dallas Burn. And when they became FC Dallas back in 03, I remember thinking it was like, I remember being confused. I was very confused. Like it didn't make sense to me, you know? So not only were we rebranding to something in my mind had no personality, and to this day, I still feel that way. Our branding has no personality. And we're also moving the team 35, 40 minutes north, where at the time there was nobody. Nobody lived in Frisco. It was all development. Like it was all land. There was nothing out there in Frisco at that moment in time, from what I could see, right? I'm sure adults could see like, hey, the next 5 years, this could all look completely different. They could have long-term vision with it. It's a project. I understand that. But as a kid, I know that I've been on that side of the Metroplex here in Dallas, nothing there. Whereas you were right in the middle of downtown with a professional team and access to lots of people who were passionate about it. It just didn't make sense to me, you know? But they rebranded, they moved, and I remember I started playing for like the youth soccer club, FC Dallas, before the academy actually came around. And so it was, again, just like another connection I had, you know, to the pro club in my backyard, but still, again, it wasn't super strong outside of the fact that I played for them. What really, I think what the club did that was genius back in the day was in the earliest days of us playing, not only for the youth setup in FC Dallas, but also the academy, was that everybody got free tickets. If you played for the academy or the club, you got free tickets to the game that Saturday night. So we were already up there, and granted, the drive back was an hour, right, to where I lived. So my dad and I, you know, after he brought me to the games, we all just stick around. I'm like, okay, cool. Watch the games. It didn't cost anything. We'll just go have a good time. So then, you know, the relationship starts getting a little bit tighter with the club. I start feeling a little bit more of a connection. So by the time I got to the development academy, it just felt like this is where I was supposed to be. I had friends that played for Texans, Andromeda, some of these Solar, some of these other big clubs that represent Dallas everywhere, all across the country when they compete. But I just had this, in some form or fashion, FC Dallas or Dallas Burn was always there. They were always present in my life, whether I was watching the pro team play or playing for the youth setup. So, yeah, man, that's how the connection really formed. And I think once the connection formed, it was strong. I never really had an itch or inkling to support another MLS team. Just never really had it. Like it never really was there. Teams would expand. I've seen fans, FC Dallas fans, become Austin FC fans. I've seen it fucking happen. I'm sure Houston has probably happened too. You know, I just feel like as the league gets more exciting, more people want to be part of the exciting aspects of the league, right? I'm sure Galaxy fans, there's some out there who become LAFC fans. You know, it's just like one of those things where I've just seen it, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, that's good for the league. New fan bases are getting bigger pretty quickly. Like things are feeling like they're moving faster. That's awesome. But at the same time, it's just like, man, that's just not how I'm built. So yeah, man. Despite the fact that we've only ever hoisted 2 U.S. Open Cups, and a supporter shield, never the MLS Cup. It's all part of it, man. I'm here for the ride. So we're probably not going to get it this year, but again, I've been there when we've gotten this close to getting it, and it hurts all the same. So
It's all part of the process.
yeah, man. 2010, you make it to the final. I was there. I remember watching Breck Shea, David Ferreira do their thing, and I was so excited, thought we were going to win it, and we didn't. It happened. So it kind of feels like Arsenal a little bit on that front, but yeah, man, this is my team. Won't change it.
Well, sounds like you're built tough because now you know that they pride you up and then all of a sudden just drop you and you're still standing and still supporting. So
No,
I think that's and I think it will be much sweeter once you win it. Take it from a PSG fan that suffered for 20 years to win the Champions League, and then when you win it, I can tell you
I might
10,000
cry.
pounds.
Yeah, I might cry, bro. I might cry. I tell you what, though, it'll feel that way if Arsenal win it too. If Arsenal win it, I always tell everybody the last trophy I saw my team win, not trophy, but league. I was in the 8th grade. I was in the 8th grade the last time Arsenal lifted a Premier League. I was just freshly married, right? I'm 10 years married now. Freshly married the last time I saw Barcelona win a Champions League, right? So it's just like some of my teams, man, it's been a while. Like I think I'm going to be very emotional regardless of who wins their league trophy first.
So you're due for a trophy, and hopefully it's your Barca team that wins the trophy because I have no ties to La Liga, so they can win it all. It won't hurt. But the other ones,
the Champions League one's the one I want to get back, right? I think we won La Liga last year, the domestic treble. I mean, I always appreciate them. Don't get me wrong, but I really, really want to win a Champions League, and it's just sweeter if it's not with Messi. Only because I'll be honest, man. I think most Barca fans feel this way. I think we all dreaded the day he would leave the club because I don't know if we would ever figure out how to meaningfully win without Messi. So the fact that we're this close now, it feels like it's more than a dream. Now it's like a reality. So I want to see us get it because I think it'll validate a lot of the doubts potentially. Not validate the doubts, but validate the fact that those doubts were just me being a worrisome fan. They didn't have any. My club is so massive that we can still win even without the greatest player of all time.
yeah, I know all about it. Yours came to us. He didn't win anything, and then he had to leave for us to win something. So
Yeah.
I know the feeling. So we discussed about the Dallas, your fandom. So is there a meal or something that when you go to the stadium is like the must have when you go watch the Dallas game?
Oh man, I'll be honest. I'm very critical.
Okay.
I feel like Dallas sometimes phones it in with the food. I mean, I think they do a good job because we're Texas based of like baking like some kind of barbecue aspect into some of the foods that you can get.
Okay.
But like, yeah, man, I'll be honest. Like me personally, I always go to some of the restaurants around the stadium before I go in because the food at the actual stadium really isn't that great. It's okay.
All right. So we'll get out of the stadium. So what is your match day
Yeah.
meal? We'll put it that way.
There's probably two. One of them, I think, just closed down for renovation, so they're probably not available to anybody for quite some time. But kind of like half the Dallas Stadium right now. But Rotolo's Pizza was one that I was there for so many games beforehand. Solid pizza, great place to get drinks beforehand. It feels like a sports bar environment while also being family friendly at the same time. So me being a dad now, like that was always at least the last few seasons, I was definitely there quite a bit. But I think Cheetos is like another one, Hispanic food that I would go to probably before the game starts, just to pregame, have a good time, get ready to get loud, be there for my team the whole way through. And so, yeah, man, pre-gaming there, any one of those two spots, probably the best. But yeah, man, food in and around Frisco, it doesn't hit the same as like Dallas proper, like Dallas has some great food. Man, I really wish they didn't move the stadium, but it is what it is.
Well, and now you watch most of the other teams want to build stadium in downtown, but yours kind of went the other way.
And they got to be careful, man. They got to be careful because now USL's moving into the space that they wanted, right? Or that they were set up at before. They're going to be, in and around, I believe, to be some of the biggest soccer fans in general in Dallas.
So is that right? So the team, it's planning on going where Dallas FC originally wanted to?
Not originally wanted to. Where they they were playing around with the Cotton Bowl, which is where Dallas Burn used to play.
Right.
Probably not going to happen anymore. I think they're going to be based probably out of Garland, which is still. Here's the big thing, right? I think Dallas Burn something's very special because in downtown Dallas you have just much of the minorities, right? The Hispanic fan base is here. We're here in droves, and so getting buy-in from those fans at a stadium like that significantly, I think, easier long term than it is to convince like soccer moms who live in suburban North Texas who just need something to do with their kids on a Saturday night to consistently invest in this soccer team unless they're pretty good, unless they're decent and winning, right? It's a harder sell, I think, because again, once Frisco started popping up with all of these things you could do, there's no loyalty to that club, right? Like it's something to do on a Saturday night. So that's why I think that, again, long term, I don't know if Frisco was the best move. I think it made sense for like the type of customer they wanted to attract on the business side, customer that makes more money, that has a more stable job, that has kids, that can lead to more ticket sales. Like I get it, but I think they just missed out on the true proper fans, right? The ones who are going to be there when we're good, when we're bad, because it's just who they are, right? So, yeah, man. I mean, I think it's called Atletico or Dallas Atlético is the new USL team. And I think that's if they find a way to capture a good amount of the fans in Dallas proper from the very beginning, I think FC Dallas will have competition as far as being the primary team in market.
And they're smart. Use Atletico kind of helps too because it rolls off the tongue too. So it's like, yes. So now it's time for you to put your sporting director hat on. So we'll say Dallas. So if there's one thing that you could either change or do differently with the team, what would that be?
That's a good question. I think right now, I would say in general, put this season aside for a second.
Yep.
Although this season is probably representative of Dallas in general. I think what I would change is I would start to move in a direction where you bring someone who's experienced in MLS, but at the same time experienced with young talents in Major League Soccer because of who we are, because of the fact that we have a pipeline that is prestigious across this country in terms of pumping out talent. You have a factory of players at your disposal. I think someone like, if I had to pick a name out there as a comparison, like an Oscar Pareja or a Brian Schmetzer, who will never leave Seattle unless it's for the U.S. men's national team. But like Pareja would be a dream because I think he understands, coming from this club as a former Dallas Burn player and as a former FC Dallas coach himself, he just understands the identity of the club while still being ambitious enough to help get us to where I think that we can be, which is competing for MLS Cups. And so I love the identity of my club. It's very similar to Barcelona's in the sense that we believe in having an identity at the youth level. And it's going to be similar to the identity of the first team professionally. And we're going to make sure players can come out of that academy ready to go, right, for the first team. And if they're not, then have a system that allows them to come back into the fold at some point in their careers. I think we do that pretty well. We've gotten away from that in recent years under Nico Estevez, who, as a manager, anybody who watches Wake Up MLS knows I cannot stand. I hate watch Austin for that reason alone. But like, I think he set us back, not even just from a results standpoint. Sure, we made it to playoffs, in those 3 seasons that he was there with us, but he just set us back. He became less reliant upon the youth. He moved away from using youth players altogether. He would sign veteran players who were on the verge of retirement. Like there's all kinds of reasons I could give, but I think that going back to our identity would mean bringing back a coach that's experienced, that isn't just a cost-effective hire because it's his first couple seasons as a manager and like he needs to get experience, or he's using MLS to do that. We've done plenty of that in the past. I would go with an experienced manager that shows that we're ambitious. We want to go after and win everything, but at the same time also has that understanding of how important a youth academy system really is. And I think Pareja or someone like him would be perfect if I was a sporting director.
Amazing. Identity and development. It sounds like it also ties with Gold TV. So it looks like you wrap everything in a nice bow for us. I like that. At least you stay consistent
Absolutely,
on your
man.
message.
I'm as on brand as they come.
Excellent. So now we're bringing it back and fast forward to not probably, but the biggest sport event in the world ever created, which is the World Cup coming to Canada, the US, and Mexico. I know you have probably your lunches to US soccer. So I guess they will be twofold. Is how excited are you about one having the World Cup here and the chances for the US and Mexico?
Yeah, it's a great question. One, I'm super excited. At last World Cup I watched on American soil in '94 was, I mean, and I guess I say I watched, but I was a kid, I was a baby, right? Like at the end of the day, and so I only knew so much. The first one I actually watched on American soil that I actually watched was the women's '99 World Cup, and I just remember seeing like the amount of fans at like the Rose Bowl, right? I mean, it was packed out, and I remember even being as a kid who'd only ever watched men's football. That kind of blew my mind because I just didn't see that anywhere else. Like even women's, like girls soccer games at the high school level here didn't. I mean, only their parents were showing up to games, right? Like men's soccer was the only thing I knew that could draw a crowd meaningfully, and so to see that, and I was thinking, dude, like America's. I didn't think as a kid, America's ready for this, but thinking like this could be it. This is how I can maybe like get to watch more games and like more than what I just only saw on TV at that time. So now fast forwarding 30 years and being at a point now as an adult where I can now attend these games in person, the game is significantly more advanced, bigger here on this side of the world. I'm so excited, man. I'm so excited. It is, like you said, the biggest sporting event that many of us will ever get a chance to experience in our lifetime. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I'm so, regardless of how good Mexico or the US are, because those are my two allegiances, it doesn't even matter to me. I think if they get eliminated, I'm still probably still traveling, trying to find a way to either go to games in person or be in and around the stadium, right? Because I just want to be part of the vibe in general. To me, I'm checking off so many boxes that I had on my bucket list as a kid, right? So that's where I'm at. I'm thinking my eyes are lighting up like they would have done when I was a kid. So that's how excited I am at this point. But how I believe Mexico and the U.S. will play, I'll be honest, man. I did not think either team would be this mediocre going into this big of a tournament.
Right.
I've traditionally known Mexico to always be the more successful of the two to an extent. In my lifetime, Mexico has made it consistently to knockout rounds of World Cups. Sure, they've had that negative streak, right, for like 5 different World Cups and not making it past the round of 16. But I've also seen US not qualify for World Cups.
Right.
So like, like to me, that's dramatically worse. But yeah, me being in the States, it's always interesting because I feel like it's very, I feel like I get a lot of shit and a lot of hate for being a fan of both the United States and Mexico. I feel like even Eric Wynalda, a guy I work with, a legend of the game, he would not be happy with that. He wouldn't be content with that. They're rivals in a lot of different ways. But like at the end of the day, like I'm Mexican, but I grew up in America, and I have had former teammates come through the U.S. soccer system, the United States development pool, right? Plenty of former teammates at FC Dallas who just gone on to do the things that all of me and my teammates wanted to do. Right. I have such a deep connection with players and coaches on this side that it's hard sometimes to remove that when U.S. plays Mexico. But make no mistake, right? When they're not playing against each other, I'm locked in for Mexico's games. I want them to win. The fact that Colombia battered them 4-0 yesterday, hurtful. Like I turned the damn game off halfway through. I still want Mexico to be successful. And I never really want one to be successful at the expense of the other. In an ideal world, they're both good. They're both good, and they're both super exciting to watch coming into this World Cup. I don't believe that will be the case. Unfortunately, I do think that they're both set to be upset at this tournament. I think it's going to happen. I don't know if it means not like one of them doesn't qualify for the knockout rounds. I think they both probably will. From there, though, it's anybody's guess. It really is. And I'm feeling less confident, especially in the United States and the U.S. men's national team, less confident now than I was like 10 years ago. And it's supposed to be the golden generation of this team, right? It looks like it's gonna pan out the same way Mexico's golden generation was supposed to, or not now it's supposed to pan out, but the way they did pan out ultimately, which was falling short of expectations on a number of levels. But yeah, man, I think that 10 years ago, the 2014 World Cup, which I watched adamantly, I feel like that team would absolutely wipe the floor with this team. And I thought we had a better chance back then to make a run than we do today. So that's where I'm at, man. It's not the best feeling, but no matter what, does not change how excited I am about the World Cup.
Yeah, I don't remember the 2014 World Cup, so for many
I feel
reasons.
that. I feel that.
But yes, and I do feel also what you mentioned, being stuck between two countries to support. France and Senegal is the exact same thing. Senegal beating France, which made it a huge thing. I can tell you there's a huge population of Senegalese in France. It's one of those things where you're supposed to celebrate because your maternal and paternal just won, but then you're French. And then it was a very awkward, I say almost 3 days after that game. So I definitely understand what you mean by having those two relationships, but I would say I wouldn't be surprised if the U.S. and Mexico is doing better than what people give him to, because I think maybe at the time when the World Cup kicks off, maybe that's where when as athletes where you kind of stand up for the moment, and now you literally have your country watching you, all eyeballs were there. So maybe it might be that trigger that kind of switching them up to the performance they have to, because now they're doing only friendlies. It's kind of hard to kind of switch that on and off knob when it's a friendly, yes, but you're still battling for your spot. But still, it's not really like France still has to qualify. They're still playing. So I think that's why I'm a little bit concerned about those two countries, including Canada. But I'm thinking maybe that spark of playing at home might be different, because in '98, no one said that France was going to win it and beat Brazil that bad. But we were all still skeptical of what they were going to do, and they did the impossible, from what some people say. But so I think one thing, so you mentioned having the World Cup now at home. Where I stand, I think that almost the US might do not understand how this World Cup is going to be, because of how many countries and how crazy international fans that travel for the World Cup are. In your mind, how would you tell an American that what you see in the Super Bowl compared to what you see in the World Cup, it's different galaxy of fans? How would you describe that to an American that says, tell them to get ready?
Yeah, I would say the best way, like if I had to give like a tactical suggestion to what they could do to get ready for the World Cup, because it doesn't matter. You can watch any amount of football on TV. It's not going to do it justice. I would say if you're like an NFL fan, as an example, I need you, and you're just like, man, the Super Bowl is everything. There's nothing that competes with it. I want you to try and go to a giant, and I mean a big college football game, right? Maybe I don't want to even go things like far as like the national title, because that's probably very cost prohibitive, but go to like a big game, right? And embed yourself in the fans, right? Those students and how crazy they go, right? They're taking their t-shirts off, they're drawing on each other, they have so much pride for their school, right? It's their college. And walk through that fans. Listen to how they react to the other fan base, right? Their rivals, whatever it may be. In my opinion, college football is the most comparable thing in this country to football as we know it, you and I, Musa, right? To be just this in a lot of different ways. Die Hard doesn't even like encapsulate really what it means to be a fan over there. It's embedded into who you are as a person. Your personality is probably dictated a little bit by how your club is performing. There's so much to it down to your core that, I mean, and I'm sure NFL fans will hear this say like, "Oh, that's us too." Maybe, but I still think it's on a different level, and I think it's not reflected in the number of fans that show up, but more about the behaviors. But in case NFL fans want to have that argument, the numbers that show up equally also don't even stack up. Whether it's from a viewership perspective, attendance perspective, revenue perspective, doesn't really matter. The World Cup is the biggest sporting event on planet Earth. There isn't another one that stacks up to it. And at the end of the day, it puts the Super Bowl to shame. But putting all of that aside, I would say if someone wants to get in the shoes of a fan from that fandom perspective, I think college football gives you that best opportunity.
Yeah, I can tell you, if someone is saving for 4 years straight, they are willing to sell their apartment, cars, house, empty their 401k just to watch one game, there's no other crazy fans that's willing to do. Or some that I've heard stories, people quit their jobs because they were not allowed to.
Yeah.
When they didn't have enough vacation just to go to another country. So that's why I just want to tell people like what, and people have money to spend now compared than before. This World Cup is going to be madness with having 48 countries on top of that. So
I agree.
Get ready to party because it's going to be a rough one and a huge hangover when everybody goes home.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too, man. And like, I'm really curious to see how it all goes. Me personally, I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to be hopefully getting to see at least, I want to see 3 games if I can, 3 minimum.
Nice.
One in every country. So ideally, I get a chance to go to either Toronto or Vancouver for a Canada game. Probably here in Dallas out of just cost-effective reasons. As far as my game here in the States, and then probably if I have things my way, either Guadalajara or Monterrey in Mexico, because I think the vibes of those two cities are completely different. But both very good. So like I just want to be there. I want to be embedded in the culture. I want to meet up with some friends who are creators that I haven't got a chance to meet up in person yet. Guys that I collab with all over the globe. It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So guys, get ready, man. It's gonna be a banger in the best way possible.
It's gonna be epic.
Yeah.
All right. So yes. So one final question so we're both parents, right? So as soccer dads, what is one tradition that either you're thinking of now or you're already having planned that for your kids of like enjoying this beautiful sport we call soccer?
I think I'm probably gonna go back to do what my dad did with me. I think at the time it was seen as more of like a disciplinary thing. I think there's a way to make it more fun though, because my dad was I think like most high performing athletes, parents, was just like a machine at the end of the day. And my dad was I never let him coach me for a very specific reason. Just could not stand being coached by him because I was already coached by him significantly at our house. But one thing that we always did every holiday, if I wasn't playing in tournaments, then what we would do is after our meal as a family, it could be Thanksgiving, it could be Christmas, whatever. We grabbed a ball every time. And when the meal was done, most families in America probably go out and pass around a football or something like that, American football, a pigskin, right? Because it's just what you do. We did that, but with soccer. We had this very specific game that we always played. We had 2 little pop-up goals, roughly 25, 30 yards apart from each other. And he and I and my brother and I too, we would stand behind each of these goals. And the goal was we each had a ball and we would take turns. You had to chip the ball in a way that only allowed for 1 bounce between when you hit it and when it got into the net. You were given 1 bounce. If it bounced more than that, it didn't count. And we would try to get to like 5 or 10 or something. But we did it every single holiday. And it was more always about like my dad wanting us to help us improve our touch, practice, do all of those things. And we did. And sometimes we hated it. Sometimes we were like, no, I don't feel like doing this. I want to play with my new Christmas stuff or like whatever. But it was always like, no, put everything down. We just ate. Now we're gonna go out. We're gonna play for a little bit, work some of the food off, right, and have a good time. But and eventually that became like we were doing drills, right? We were doing sprints in the back and like all kinds of other stuff. So it became work after a while. But I think with my son, I think it'd be cool to. He's 2 years old now. And he's kicking a ball already. I think it would be great to just like do more of that, play structured games with him, things that help him improve but are also fun, and attach those to the holidays, right? For memories and for everything else. And so even if it's just me and him, alone time, dad and son, cool, let's do it. So yeah, man, we'll see. I haven't done a lot of that yet because he hasn't been old enough yet, but we're getting close. We're getting close. So that might be the first one.
Well, everybody says Project X, project, and then they put their favorite soccer player. Maybe that would be yours. But
Yeah.
yes, and I think and I love that part. And I guess just to tie it all around is that soccer starts at home. So there you have it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
So with that said, Jose, definitely appreciate your time. So we went from, all the way from your grassroots of Barca fan all the way to you kicking the ball with your son and bringing father-like memories and all in between. So we know how to get to you, but if somebody fell asleep in between, please tell us how they can reach out to you and follow you.
Yeah, man. In all honesty, guys, just support Goals TV. You can always reach me through that channel as well. On YouTube's our biggest presence, almost 10K subs. Again, GOLZ TV. Go check it out. Let me know what you guys think. We can make it better. I'm always all ears, right? Any way that we can make that better. But you can find me there. You can message us or email us directly from that channel. It goes right to me. And I always try to find unique ways of collaborating or bringing new content to the channel. So again, man, Musa, I really appreciate it sincerely.
Yes,
for anybody who listened all the way throughout the episode, massively, massively appreciate you.
Of course, yes. And for those of you that stayed with us, definitely appreciate your time and make sure you like, subscribe, and do all that crazy stuff for more football. And make sure you stick up because, like Jose said, we have a lot more content coming up from not only myself, Goals TV, but all of the people involved in soccer and our little family. So, but with that said, have a blessed day and we'll see you all very, very soon. Peace.
See you.